United Airlines strikes again. The airline everyone loves to hate is once again in the headlines, this time for giving away a toddler's seat and forcing him to sit on his mom's lap for the entire flight. Shirley Yamauchi and her 27-month-old son were on the final leg of an 18-hour journey from Hawaii to Boston on June 29th. United Airlines agents at Houston's Bush Airport scanned their tickets and let them through without incident. But once on board, a passenger who'd been on standby arrived with a ticket for her son's seat, which she'd paid nearly $1,000 for. She notified a flight attendant about the confusion, but the woman just shrugged and told her the flight was full. Wary of making a scene and getting the David Dao treatment, Yamauchi was forced to hold her son on her lap for the entire 3.5-hour flight. The toddler was in several contorted sleeping positions before eventually ending up standing between her knees. After getting off the plane, Yamauchi told agents at the gate of her ordeal. They directed her to customer service, who then told her to call the hotline. Thanks, guys. So helpful. United's excuse is that the ticket was scanned incorrectly, making it look like it wasn't checked in. Which sounds like a pile of horse dung, if you ask us. The airline's own guidelines require children 2 years and older to have a seat. But guess those rules don't count if there's an opportunity to grab a couple $100, huh? Get it together, United. Say no to safe spaces on YouTube. Support TomoNews at patreon.com/TomoNews. Here's more people who've been shot down while flying the friendly skies. United Airlines drags passenger off flight. United Airlines is facing yet another PR disaster. That's after this footage of a bloodied passenger being forcibly removed from a flight went viral. The man was dragged from his seat as the plane sat on the tarmac in Chicago on Sunday, bound for Louisville, Kentucky. It all kicked off when United needed to get 4 staff members to Louisville, but then realized the flight was already full and no seats were available. Passengers who volunteered to give up their seats and take a later flight were offered $400 in compensation and a free hotel stay. But even when that offer was doubled to $800, there were still no takers. That's when United decided to choose the volunteers themselves, and 4 passengers were randomly bumped from the plane. One couple left the airplane without incident, but the man in the video refused. He said he was a doctor and needed to get back to Louisville to see his patients. United staff told the man that security would be called if he didn't get off the plane. Again, he refused, and that's when things got physical.
No, this is wrong. Oh my God, look at what you did to him. Oh my.
While this incident was undoubtedly brutal, United is within its legal rights to overbook flights and to remove passengers from their planes. They just have to pay compensation of up to $1,350, depending on the length of the delay. 10 minutes later, the passenger ran back on the plane looking confused. Eventually, all the passengers were made to deboard and go back to the gate while the plane was cleaned up. The plane eventually arrived in Louisville 2 hours late. In a statement, United Airlines apologized for what they described as an overbooking situation, but didn't say sorry to the passenger who was dragged from his seat. In an email to staff on Monday, United CEO Oscar Munoz said the man was disruptive and belligerent. The Chicago Department of Aviation says the security officer who dragged the passenger out of his seat has been put on leave, pending an investigation. David Dao, the prequel. This is Alejandro Nestra Anastasia. He used to work for United Airlines. We say used to because this is how he handles septuagenarian passengers. That surveillance footage was obtained by Click 2 Houston and is from 2015. Obviously, United's elderly passenger care has improved since then, right? Maybe not so much. It all went down at Bush Intercontinental Airport in Houston after 71-year-old Ronald Tigner approached Anastasia with boarding pass issues. Anastasia reportedly said with a smile that he and his colleagues were busy. Then badass Grandpa Tigner here tells him to wipe that smile off his face. Next, Anastasia yells some unsavory words and threw the septuagenarian to the ground. Throughout the rest of the clip, no one else can be seen helping Tigner until a nurse on her way to catch a flight stepped in. Naturally, United Airlines gave Anastasia the boot. Not only that, he was charged with a felony for causing injury to an elderly person. And now he, along with United and another United employee, are getting sued by Tigner for negligence for a cool $1 million. Get that money!
Honeymooners save plane with fuel leakage but get left stranded. A newly married couple flying to Italy for their honeymoon cruise were thrown off course before they could leave the ground when they saw an unusual sight out of their cabin window. Which airline were they flying? United, of course. On June 14th, Mike and Rachel Brumfield boarded their flight in Newark, New Jersey, but when they got to their seats, they spotted fluid pouring out of the plane's left wing. As it turns out, what they saw draining out was jet fuel. Somehow, not one member of the flight crew happened to notice the issue before takeoff, and had the couple not spoken up, the plane might have crashed into the Atlantic Ocean. For their critical observation, you'd think United Airlines would come up with a special gesture to show gratitude, right? Wrong. The newlyweds say they learned their flight was canceled and all the passengers received hotel vouchers for the night, except them. Furthermore, they say United employees were super rude to them and had no idea where their luggage was. They were forced to sleep on the floor of the airport and rushed to arrange a flight at another airport to make it to Venice on time for their honeymoon cruise. When reached for comment, United Airlines declined to address the couple's claims, only offering a general statement regarding the flight cancellation. Classy.
Say no to safe spaces on YouTube. Support TomoNews at patreon.com/TomoNews. Things are going from bad to worse for United Airlines. A former United Airlines customer is claiming staff once threatened to handcuff him if he didn't give up his seat to make way for a higher priority traveler. High-flying businessman Jeff Ferns came forward with his story after the forcible removal of a passenger from a United plane on Sunday. Ferns paid $1,000 for a first-class ticket from Hawaii to LA last week, but was then told to get off the plane. The finance executive said United staff told him somebody more important had showed up at the last minute, and if he didn't budge, they'd remove him by force. Ferns was eventually downgraded to economy and placed between a married couple who refused to sit next to each other and argued for the entire 6-hour flight. Back at home, Ferns asked United for a full refund and a $25,000 donation to the charity of his choice. As the LA Times puts it, that's how rich guys do it. United turned down both requests and instead offered Ferns the difference between the first-class ticket and an economy ticket. The airline then got in touch a week later to offer a $500 credit for a future trip, but Ferns said he would never fly United again. This latest PR blow to the airline comes in the wake of the forcible removal of passenger Dr. David Dao from a Chicago to Louisville flight on Sunday. On Wednesday, United offered a full refund to everyone on that flight and said it would no longer get the cops to remove passengers from planes that were too full. What's more, Chicago's Department of Aviation said 2 more officers involved in the removal of Dao had now been placed on leave pending an investigation. 3 officers in total have now been placed on leave. Meanwhile, attorneys for Dao filed an emergency request with an Illinois state court to force United to preserve video and other evidence related to the removal of their client from the plane, which in all likelihood means the lawyers are preparing a huge-ass lawsuit for damages against United Airlines. Big Bunny dies after United Airlines flight. United Airlines is facing more PR problems after this humongous rabbit died while traveling with the airline from England to the US. The 10-month-old, 3-foot-long continental giant rabbit called Simon was expected to grow up to become the biggest bunny in the world. But owner Annette Edwards is now demanding compensation from United and the return of the rabbit's corpse to the UK for an autopsy. United insists Simon was alive and hopping when he was taken off the flight in Chicago on April 19th, and there was definitely no need to ask, "Hey, what's up, Doc?" An airline spokesman said the giant rabbit appeared healthy and showed no signs of distress upon landing. Simon went to sleep in a pet facility run by the airline, but 30 minutes later, an employee opened his cage and found the rabbit dead. The spokesman said the airline had offered to perform a necropsy on the rabbit, free of charge, but Edwards declined. Rabbit breeder Edwards said Simon was expected to grow to be the world's biggest bunny, after his father Darius grew to a length of 4 feet 4 inches. Edwards said Simon had a veterinary checkup just 3 hours before takeoff from London's Heathrow Airport and was as fit as a fiddle. United said they have offered compensation to Simon's buyer in the States. The airline said it was saddened to hear of the giant bunny's death and was investigating the incident. And the United nightmare continues. There's more turbulence coming United's way, with the airline again making headlines this week for booting a couple off a flight. The Utah couple were en route to their wedding in Costa Rica. After boarding the plane, they discovered a man snoozing on their seats. Instead of waking him up, they decided to just park themselves on some empty seats nearby. A flight attendant came by asking if they were in the right seats, since they were sitting in Economy Plus, which was more expensive. The couple asked for an upgrade, but were denied and told to move back. Despite complying with the order, they claim a marshal later came and took them off the plane anyway. They were rebooked on Sunday morning, the day of their wedding. But United isn't sorry about what happened, and they claim that's not how things went down. According to the airline, the couple didn't pay for the upgraded seats, but repeatedly tried to sit there, and wouldn't follow instructions to move back to their assigned row. The couple's motives for moving seats does seem shady, and it's possible they were capitalizing on United's recent mishaps, trying to score better seats for free. But despite not being entirely at fault for this one, it's really not in United's best interest to keep booting people off their planes, especially for something as little as a seat upgrade. But I guess old habits die hard. Really, we should just be thankful they didn't assault anyone this time.